All right, well, here we are. It's 11 o'clock. We're ready to get started. We're super excited about this next presentation. We're going to give her as much time. Her name is Tay Brown, and she actually works with us. She's one of us. We want to give her a lot of time. So we're going to ask you, audience, to go ahead and keep your questions for the end, and you'll go ahead and you'll use that Q&A function. So Tay, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and turn the mic over to you. And yeah, we're super excited about hearing what you have to say about finances today.
Okay, all right. Okay, so are you guys able to see my screen? Yes. Well, someone's going to be presenting with me today. I'm so sorry about that, and for some reason, it will not expand in, or is it full screen for you guys?
No, I'm not able to see full screen.
If you hit that purple button, Teresa, is that the one on the bottom?
Yeah,
Yeah, that one. I'm just guessing.
okay, cool. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So my name is Tay. The business that I operate through is Tay Chris Brown. Here's my logo, and I like to refer to the people I help as milestone chasers, because part of financial journeys are milestones, such as like opening a bank account, saving for retirement. Just learning how money works is a milestone for most people. And a big thing that I do, or I like to call it, you could call it financial coaching. I like to call it financial stewardship, which is just another word for management. And it's coaching because I like to kind of guide people along the way, because it was kind of something that I didn't quite have. So I saw something along the way that I wanted to give to others. This is going to be a blast today, guys, but I'm gonna push through this. All right, so I'm gonna share a little bit of my story. So as we have here, there were several battles with poverty, like decades. I was born in an environment that was surrounded by poverty. For example, none of my relatives worked. They all received some form of government assistance. And, if they did work, they only worked long enough to get unemployment or disability. So that's kind of what they wanted to live from the government. So that's kind of what I was brought up in. And it's not something that I favored. So I knew from a young age that is not a cycle that I want to continue, especially if I started a family. And so I had some of that was instilled in me, knowing which direction I wanted to take. And then as COVID came around, I lost a lot of my income. My husband lost his income. And it was a struggle, trying to pay your bills and everything throughout that process. But I was able to just maximize the stipends that I was getting, because I was still going to college. I was completing my bachelor's degree, and stretch it out and just picking up, working in a fast food, finding businesses that were open to help make ends meet. And along that process, I started working in the financial services industry as a life insurance agent. And that really opened the door for me to obtain financial literacy in ways that I was just not exposed to before. And from my past experience, I was like, oh, wow, there are some gaps here from the people that the company I work for, that they serve, and the people that were like me. So I wanted to help bridge that gap with my personal experience and knowledge, and then also on the professional side. And so I was like, you know what, I can coach people through and educate them to get them to the point where they might not be able to afford life insurance, or they may not be able to understand the importance of life insurance and what it's really about, as well as other financial tools, but to get them from where they are to understanding the options that they have, and when they get to the point, what would be best for them at that point in time. And so some of the products and services that I personally offer is financial stewardship coaching, which with the coaching, I generate financial plans for my clients, and I provide accountability, check-ins, and plan adjustments, which is something that typically in the financial services industry, you kind of just meet with a broker, or, you know, you call, you make an appointment, you get your policy put in place, and they could just kind of leave you be. And then, you know, sometimes another kid may come along, or a financial crisis or some type of event just happens, and you kind of don't know how to handle the situation that best suits you at that time. And so I like to provide the coaching experience where I can help my clients figure this out, and just see different ways that they can approach it in certain times like that, and still, you know, meet the certain goals that they would like to meet. And then I am still working on my programs and courses that I have, because I want to have something accessible for everyone that is of different financial statuses, because I know it's important. I don't believe that your income status should determine what accessibility that you have. I still want to make sure people are getting the education, the literacy, and things that they need that's of value to them. And that's the format that I'm choosing to do it in, which will be free. And then I have some financial literacy workbooks that I created. Now these workbooks, they're mine. They're very, very unique. I use a lot of psychological concepts such as journaling. I'm very big on cognitive behavioral therapy, which is also part of journaling, because language is a big part of our lives. And if we ever listen to like motivational speakers and things like that, they always will tell you how big what you tell yourself and the language that you use can pretty much determines your mood and how you feel and how you perceive the world around you, and then the things that you would do and all the different things like that. So I utilize all of that in my workbooks that I created. I have a My Money Journal, I have a Beyond the Mill, and I have the Financial Stewardship Companion, which is very good with the coaching, and it also implements SMART goal setting. So I have a lot of that in there, because I believe it's not just about money. I believe that there's a lot of mindset and perception that needs to be addressed. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, but I read the book and a lot of people recommend reading it. But when I went through it, I was kind of like, oh, you know, the language, because rich people do this, poor people do this. And I was like, oh, it's so cringy to me. But I understand coming from that angle. Like I understand, and a good acronym that they use for poor is passing over opportunity repeatedly. And so I was like, okay, I get that. And, you know, just from working with other people and just watching other people. And so it's like that further emphasizes the mindset that needs to be addressed, because you cannot reach a goal if you do not address the problems. And like when I work with my clients, I like to use AA. Like when people go to these meetings, the first step is pretty much admitting that there's a problem. So we got to have awareness of what's going on in our financial situation, which most of the times we end up in a financial distressing situations because we're not fully aware. Like we know we have a bank account, we know that we might get paid this day, but we're not really paying attention to how things are flowing in and flowing out, and when this is taking place, and what's supposed to take place next. And so if you're not aware of these things, you can't adjust anything, you can't modify, you just can't do nothing with anything you're not aware of. And so I definitely like to bring all that awareness. And I like to let people see what they can do with what they already have. And that brings it back to them, where it's not someone else's responsibility for what's going on. It lets them come back and say, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, which is also perception and mindset. And then I like to maintain my relationships with them through my blogs, my YouTube, which is coming back up. I've just done a lot of rebranding. So I have yet to put this stuff back out there. And then I also have discounted referral services through some of my sponsors, which is home, auto, business insurance. I do know some mortgage brokers that I can refer people over to. Let's say if a family is trying to buy a home, but the banks are denying them, I know people who can do mortgage underwriting for them if that will work. And then also just retirement and different investments accounts. I just refer people over to that as well. And then here's just a preview of one of the workbooks that I make. This was just a prototype. I have updated it, but I have not updated my photos yet. So this is something that I specifically designed for children, for kids. And this was on my heart because I'm a mother. And as I said, I've grew up in poverty. And as I, came to know more about finances and different things like that, I was like, okay, my child is going to have more knowledge than what I did at her age. So I'm going to teach her everything I know now. She's going to start practicing the stuff that I know now. And so when she's old enough, when she's a teenager, she's already practiced this stuff so much, it's not an issue. She's already has the mindset of, okay, when I go to the store, when I want to buy something, how much does it cost? How much am I going to need to save? And how long is that going to take of this amount of saving till I get to that point where I can go buy it? Because debt is something that, everyone's doing it. But, a lot of us, especially in America right now, nobody wants to really pay the debt back. No one wants to be responsible for that. So I would like to just teach kids, just kind of what we did back in the day. If we didn't have it, we did not have the luxury of just all these credit cards, all that stuff. We had to wait, we had to save, we have to work hard. And that's what we had to do. And so I just believe that's honest, and I believe it just teaches good character. And there's nothing better than achieving and being able to say, I did that. I want people to be able to say that, which is empowering in itself. And to feel that at a young age, you can generalize that into other things in your life as well. And so just to get into some of the worksheets, this little thing over here is what I'm saving for. It has a coloring aspect to it. So, they go in the store, they work with their parents, which is also what I didn't get too detailed, because I want parents to be able to go through this with their kids. So for example, if a kid wants to buy a Lego set and it's like $20, okay, they're going to have to come over here, figure out how much each coin or how much each square is going to represent. Is it going to be 50 cents? Is it going to be $1? And, every time they earn that amount, they go and they color it in, and then they say, hey, look, mom, dad, this is how much I saved. Here it is. Like, let's go shopping, or let me give you the money so you can buy it on Amazon, whatever that looks like. Because I do, I believe, family is important. And so I really, really like to encourage that. I like to see that more in society these days. So I believe that that's just nice. And it's a conversation to keep financial literacy going on in a house. And then how much I saved this year. It's not necessarily as the first sheet. The first sheet is more a representation of sinking funds, which is where you set aside certain funds for a certain amount that you're going to spend. So, and that's why it's called sinking, because it sinks, it goes up and it sinks. You're going to spend. But this other page is how much I saved this year. Is just a completely different savings goals. You just want to see how much you're not spending, how much you're saving each month. And it's just to promote, just saving for a longer period of time, because as adults, if we're saving for a house, that might be years and years coming for something big. And just to promote that as well, maybe they're going to want a car, maybe they're going to want a PS4 or something like PS5, it's going to take a little bit longer to save for that. And then the main thing here is just the tracking page where, it's basic accounting. It's what all of adults do, is typically what our bank accounts do and our banking statements. It just helps them keep track of the money they gained, you know, if it's from allowance, if it's a gift card, if it's something they found on the ground, you know, if I see a coin, I'm like, hey, pick it up. You know, it's there, you know, we're not wasting nothing. And sometimes you just never know. Sometimes you never know. If somebody's there, you give it to them. But some people, they just, those pennies don't mean much. But to somebody else, those pennies can go, you know, really help. And then where they spent it, and different things like that. And then the last column is just for, you know, how much money I have left. So they're keeping trackings of their balance. And, you know, it's colorful. You know, it's inspired by my daughter. The covers are her artwork, her painting. So, you know, just stuff to get creative with the kids. And I know, like, moving forward, I'm going to get a little bit more creative with these as well. And there's also some jokes here because my daughter loves these jokes. You know, where would a shrimp go get a loan? The prawn shop. I mean, as adults, that's probably more funny to us, but but we get it. All right. And then, so I wanted to share a case study of like what I've done with a coaching. So this is one case that I had where it was a mother of two. She was a veteran as well. And she wanted to take account for and planning where her money goes, because before this, like, she just had no budget, but she was just in so much, I mean, that she didn't know what was going on with her bills. There was no order there. There was just no awareness. It was just like, where's the money? So when I needed to go get groceries, I have to keep taking out personal loans because I don't know what's going on. And she wanted to pay off her debt, to be debt free. She had no savings for an emergency fund. So I was like, okay, I believe in starting small. You know, we want to have achievable, we want to have SMART goals, reachable. We don't want to say, if we know we got all this debt, our money's crazy, we can't say, oh, I'm just going to build a $5,000 emergency fund. No, we got to start small. We got to work our way up. We got to be realistic. We want to set ourselves up for success, attainable and achievable and realistic based on our situation. So I was like, okay, 500 will be a good start for you. And utilizing a cash envelope system, or it could be a cashless tracking method. It was just more so for her to see more of what's going on. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be like a different envelopes. It could just be a tracking paper that you just, you can have separate checkings accounts open for like the separate categories of your spending, like groceries, self-care, hygiene, utilities, different things like that. Some people open separate checkings accounts for stuff like that to track. So that's kind of was her situation and things that she wanted. And so after I was looking through the financials, running the numbers with her, I like to call it a forecast. Some people will call it a margin, but I like to call it a forecast because pretty much you're just looking ahead. You know, when we look on the news, they give us a forecast of what the weather is like. I like for my clients to see what their month is projected to look like at the end of it before it gets there. Because if I believe you have that, if you have that already in front of you, then it's going to change your perception before you even get into that month. So her forecast was a negative $354. And I let her know, like, before you even, this month even gets here, you're already living above your means. I mean, for $354, that's groceries. That's what I see right there. So technically you can't even afford groceries with the amount of expenses and obligations that you have, because you're just way above your means right now. And so for her debt that I saw which consisted of several credit cards and multiple student loans and like 2 personal loans, I recommended her the snowball method, because this is a person who did not have any prior financial plan or just structure going on. And the snowball method is very, very ideal for building behavioral momentum, which is something that I love. And it's also, it's a behavioral strategy. So I loved it. And it lets you tackle the smaller debts and keep going forward first. And, as you get those out of the way, it just builds momentum, and you kind of like a snowball. It's building, 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 and then you just go on from there. And then I told her to utilize sinking funds so you have more control of what's going on with your finances. Like if you know that you just randomly want to go out and or just randomly buy stuff, you need to create some envelope, a checking account, and allocate funds to it every single month that, you know, just based off what you typically spend. So that way you already have that there and all your other bills are taken care of. So when you do go make that purchase, it's not affecting anything because the important things are already taken care of. And you can make sure that you can eat this month, you and your kids. And then, you know, on the bright side, I've told her it's possible to turn this all around and reach her goals by taking baby steps, which I got into with her. And what I just gave her about 2 scenarios of the way that she can approach it, and using those scenarios. In scenario 1, if she followed what I told her, she would be able to save about $1,080 within 6 months. So that's well above the 500 starter fund. And so, or it also includes the emergency starter fund and an extra almost 600 towards other sinking funds, maybe auto maintenance or auto deductible or something else that she could have been saving for in preparation for something. Or a trip, you know, because I don't believe necessarily in when you have debt that everything needs to go to debt, because we do have clients might go down. We do, and that's an emergency, but I don't believe that's not an emergency like you're going to be homeless emergency. So I do consider things like that a little bit different than other people. And then she would also be able to pay off 2 credit cards and 1 student loan, and that's full. You know, she would be able to take care of 3 balances within 6 months and saving that amount with what she already has. I did not change anything. She still has her goals. And the way I did it was, you know, showing her, like, even if it's like 50 a month, you can just allocate to, you know, if you want to get a tattoo, okay, 50 a month until you reach what amount that is. So I was able to do that. And then if she had a little bit more flexibility. So the first scenario was with her saving about $795 by cutting or decreasing some expenses that she had. And then scenario 2 is a little bit more frugal, you know, which is the first one, she was kind of, you know, because she had like 3 or 4 streaming services, and, you know, so I was like, okay, she didn't want to let those go. So I was kind of like, okay, you can still have them, and this is what you could do, still having those. This other scenario was like, okay, we eliminated some of those anyways, and this is what we got. Within 6 months, she'll be able to pay off 3 credit cards in full and 1 student loan, and this is using the snowball method, and save over the $1,080. So she's still able to accomplish her goals and save, and keep some streaming, you know, and different things like that. So that's kind of what I do. And then if there was a change coming up, then, you know, we would talk, and, you know, I'd run some numbers, give her some scenarios, and then just, you know, see how she feels and give them the option, because I don't tell them this is what you do. I'm saying, this is what I see, and these are the possibilities. Use this as a guide. You know, use it as a guide for you, because you can get ideas based off what I am presenting to you. It is not a one size fits all. It's not a clear-cut solution. I just want you to see what you are able to do with what you already have. And then, you know, you go from there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I kind of have for you guys. This is my first presentation, so I didn't know what to bring to you guys. I hope it was sufficient and informative. And you guys, yeah, questions or anything?
Thank you so much, Tay. I really appreciate it. You sharing your information. I love the case studies. We'll go ahead and we'll open it up for questions. Anyone has any questions or any scenarios or situations that you would like to discuss? I'm thinking right now about my, I had a high school, oh, his name was Mr. Cameron. I had a high school, well, he was my junior high teacher. I think I was in 8th grade. And he told me, he told our class, he said, if you open up, I think it's called an IRA account.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cameron was brilliant. He said, if you kids open up, when you turn 16, you get a job and you open up, I think it's called a custodial Roth IRA. He said, by the
Yeah.
time you were X years old, I think he was like 40 or something like that. He says, I promise you, you will be a millionaire. And I remember, I still keep in contact with some of my friends from that class, and not one of us opened. Now looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have done
Yeah.
it, because I mean, we spent it on the shoes, and I mean, you could go down.
Liabilities.
So, any questions? Any questions? We do have a question. And it's from one of our students. It says, I want to buy something, but if I buy it, I won't have very much money left. I'm an only kid. I'm only a kid, but I want to start saving. What should I do? Great question.
Yes. So what I would recommend, because it is going to definitely depend, right? So okay, so when you say you have a little bit of money, do you get allowances? Because that's gonna be a big factor when making that decision. Because if you're gonna buy something and you don't have anything else coming in, that carries more weight to the decision than deciding, okay, I can buy this because I know later on I'm gonna go earn some more money that's gonna replenish what I just spent.
So they said that they don't get an allowance. Is there?
Okay.
They don't get an allowance.
So it's not gonna leave them with a lot of money left. Okay, so this, you're gonna have to decide this for you. So when, if you're my client and this was a situation, we're going through your financial plan, I'm going to really ask you to look in the mirror and evaluate, for you, is this something that you see as essential or is it non-essential? And because if the state that you're in right now, I feel like if it is not essential, I would not go for it right now. I would wait. I would think about it some more and wait, because something else might come up. And if it's not, especially if it's like a video game or something, I would just wait, because like Jonathan just shared, you can be putting this towards a savings account, and that's what I would probably recommend, getting a high yield savings account if you can, or if dad or mom can help you get into a credit union account that'll earn a higher interest rate than what a regular bank account would do. But I would definitely try to get a high yield savings account. You will definitely, because the Federal Reserve has been raising their rates, so a lot of these high yield saving account, like Goldman Sachs, I think Ally is one of them too. They have been having higher interest rates, so like 4%, 3%, things like that. So, depending on how much you have in there, you can be earning $2 a month just for having your money. However much you in there is a percentage that recruit, and then that way, if you don't have an allowance coming in, your money is earning money, and then you're not risking losing anything by putting it in the market. So that's what I would recommend. I will look into something like that. If you can, talk to parents to see what they can do for you, what accounts you can open, or at your own time, look up these bank accounts and then bring it to your parents with an explanation of why you want to put it there and different things like that. That will help you over time, because maybe in the next 6 months you will have enough money in there, the next 6 to 8 months or the year, to buy whatever you need to buy and still have something in there where it won't impact you too much.
Any other questions? Let me see. Oh, we just got a thank you so much. I love that, Tay, shopping around. That's a lesson I've kind of had to learn as an adult. And I wish I knew, being someone that paid for my insurance from the time I was 16, 17, I started to drive. I
Yeah.
just kind of always was like, oh, well, I use Geico, so I'm always going to use Geico. And it was like, wait a second, those
Yeah.
steadily increasing prices. And so every
Yeah.
now, one of the practices I do is I look at all of the insurance companies to see what they can offer. It's a
Yes.
lot of work. Same thing
Yeah.
with banking. I'm like, I stick with Wells Fargo, and recently they had a promotion where, um, let's see, they're called coupons, where my wife and I, just by moving some money to Chase, it was like $1,200 of free money. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
So if I love that, shopping around,
Yeah.
shopping around. Any other questions? Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have just a question. So if one of our students was interested in getting into doing what you do, what's like a kind of like a good place to start, maybe for high school or something like that? And they think like maybe they had similar experiences and kind of want to share that knowledge and pursue kind of a career like this.
That's a very, very good question. So what I would recommend, because I'm very, very big on education. So now education is not limited to a classroom. It's not limited at all. So you can become an expert just by experience. And a lot of people that we see are experts by experience. And it's been proven tried and true over time. So, and for me, it's the coaching route. So I would recommend, definitely recommend, if you do not want to become a financial advisor or a certified financial planner or a CPA or certified public accountant, things like that of that nature, I would definitely just recommend, because there are people with these licenses that do certify people and train people to do what they do without the license, which typically falls under the coaching title, because you are not legally credentialed to handle and advise and do those things. So I would recommend, you find a credible coach or a resource, if it's coaching, just to understand the just the aspects of customer service, dealing with people, the kind of situations you might encounter. Because when you're doing a coaching type of deal, or even like life coaching, it's not a regulated industry. So some people don't necessarily care if you have a certification or different things like that. They really want to see the value in what you can give them. So a lot of it's going to have to do with your entrepreneurial presentation, marketability, and promotion. You're going to have to share you're going to have to instill in people your value, your worth, so that they can see it, and then they can say, okay, this person can help me. Now, if you don't know where to start with that, then you might have to go into getting a business coach, which you can do for free, which I would recommend using SCORE, because these are professionals. These are people who have owned and sold multiple businesses, helped other people start their businesses and maintain their businesses. Some of them are bank accountants. They will teach you accounting. They will help you, define your logo, your business, your strategy, all of this stuff. If you're not quite sure where to start, and you do not have to spend any money, it might just take a little bit longer because it is volunteer services, but it is quality. They will help you fundraise and different things like that. So if you're not sure where to start and you have questions, and let's say you don't necessarily want to pay for someone's certification program because you're not sure where you want to go and exactly how you want to present, or maybe you don't want to do this on your own, you can probably, I would honestly, the easiest place to start is like life insurance, because they're always looking for agents, and you can get the training there, you can get the literacy there, and then you can decide, okay, that's not necessarily for me. I want to be more investment broker. I want to do more mutual funds, or I just want to do on my own. I have enough now. I got the licenses. I got the education through them, and that's what a lot of people do. There are, especially if you get on social media, there are so many people that were working for like Vanguard or Fidelity for so many years. And, after they have done this for so long and, they kind of just gathered enough insights from all their clients, they started their own academies where they're teaching people how to invest and manage their own investments. So there's so many options. So that would probably be one of the best routes. Like if you don't just want to start from scratch on your own, you can go find a life insurance agency. They're all pretty friendly, pretty open, but as always, do your research. Just do your research, know what you're in there for, learn what you can learn. Just have any situation. I just learn what you can learn from it. It might not be your cup of tea, but there's always something you can learn. As something I've had to learn. So and that was part of my journey. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go full blown. I'm gonna sell life insurance. I'm gonna teach people what this life insurance is all about. But then I realized, okay, what are people like me? Because when you're in a financial situation, or you're surrounded by poverty, or you're living off government assistance, you cannot afford, even if it's just $10 a month of life insurance. You're not in a place where you can see that value. And so I wanted to bridge that gap because, and then also just highlight some of the things we have, because we won't spend $10 on a life insurance policy that it's not for us. It's in the case of event we experience a loss. A lot of us don't understand what insurance is about. It's just managing risk, mitigating risk. A lot of people don't understand that. That's why we have car insurance. Why? Because not most of us, if we get in a collision, we can't cover the full effects of the damage. So we transfer that risk to an insurance company that will cover it for us. And that's what life insurance is. If someone in our family passes away, we most of the time cannot just out of the blue just cover the funeral, the burial, and everything else that comes along with that. So the insurance company will cover that for us. And not only that, but they have enough in the policy to allow us to grieve, which is some of the biggest things that in society, we can't afford to do that on our own. Somebody has to work. You typically lose an income when someone passes away. And so that's what it's really about. And so I enjoyed that part of the education, because where I come from, I did not see that, but it did kind of bother me sometimes when I would see people on the signs, because it's heartbreaking. But then it's also convicting to me, because it's like, if I can go spend, $200 a month on a new iPhone, that is not, what is it contributing much to, my household and our well-being if something happened. That's kind of how I look at things, because at the end of the day, that iPhone is not going to sustain us in the event of a significant loss occurs, especially when COVID was going on and, it was a lot of health concerns going on. And it's the kind of things like this that I like to bring to people's attention, keeping first things first. People like Dave Ramsey like to say, we stop keeping up with the Joneses. So I just like to bring a lot of things in perspective that we don't always think about. So, starting somewhere like that, it's kind of easy. It's the easiest place to get into. And from there, you can get licenses and all that stuff. And when you get all those credentials, then you're pretty much set to be on your own.
Okay, we have one more question from a student. Okay, actually, two more questions, and these will probably be our last two questions. We have someone who said, should I start saving for a car even though I'm only 11? And then
yes, you should.
Okay.
I'm not going to stop you. Yeah, yes, you should. You should. And you know why you should? Because you're being proactive. You're being very, very proactive. There is nothing wrong with being proactive and being prudent. It's like the same as like if my daughter tells me she wants to buy a house, okay, well, we're starting that money you got in your savings account right now. It has a purpose. We're going to give every dollar, every something a purpose. If it's for a car, okay, cool. I'm saving for a car, especially if you have your dream car, you know what I'm saying? And by the time you're 16, you don't want mommy, daddy. No, I can't. Hey, look, I got it. It's mine. I'm buying it. No one else can say anything to you. So I say go for it. The sky is the limit. If that is your dream, that's what you want to do, that's in your heart. Don't let anyone take that from you. the sky's the limit. I mean, I wish I would have started there. Because, parents, it might be an issue like, oh, we can't afford that. We can't, but I don't need you to afford it. I can. So yeah, go for it.
Love it, love it, love it. Proactive. I love that. And then our last question. I'm 10. I have some money, but I don't know what to do with it.
Okay. So honestly, when you don't really know what to do with something yet, you should just save it. You should just save it for when an idea comes to you. When an idea comes to you, because you might go into the store next week, you might see something on TV, you might, just save it. Something might come up. You might want to go to Disneyland one day, and maybe mom and dad are like, no, because of money. But hey, you might have enough to say and to pitch in and help out where they can say, okay, yeah, we can go. So just save it until, the opportune time comes and you just have it and it'll work out.
I love it. Thank you so much, Tay, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and your expertise. We really appreciate you taking the time today and are excited to share this out with the families. Is it okay for students to reach out to you if you have
Yes.
follow-up questions?
Yes. I actually have my website down here, tcbfinancialstewardship.com. It'll have my contact information on there. I haven't quite posted, like I said, my products and everything. I have to update that stuff because I'm excited. I've vamped them up a little bit. So all this stuff will be available in any point in time. The website has my phone, has email. So please do.
Okay, and then just one, by the way, so our 12 o'clock, there will be no speakers for our 12 o'clock slot. So there was a slight change. One of our speakers had an unexpected conflict, but we're hoping we'll be able to get them at a different time, maybe for the podcast or to do
Okay.
or to share out at a different time. So our 12 o'clock session is canceled, but our 1 o'clock, which is on animation. Looking forward to that one. That one's still going forward.
Yes.
So super excited to have the rest of the day to wrap up the career fair. But you guys all enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock. So that concludes today's financial literacy session. Take care, everyone.